Hello friends. So we'll study today's lecture, and the topic today is a comparison of Indian Constitution with Australian Constitution. In this series of lectures, we have already studied the comparison of Indian Constitution with various other countries' constitutions like USA Constitution, UK, Japan, Russia, France, Germany, Canada. Now it's time to study Australian Constitution. So as you know, Australia is situated in the southernmost hemisphere, and Australia is also a federal constitution like India. So because India is a federal parliamentary system, similar is the case with Australia as the Canadian parliamentary system also. Canada is also federal, but moreover unitary, because the powers are more given to union rather than states. But in US, it is the states which holds equal powers, and it has the separate states constitution in US, whereas in no other country like Canada or Australia or India, there is no separate states constitution. So what are the similarities? So both the constitutions are written. So Australian constitution is also written just like Indian constitution. Federal parliamentary, both federal, because Australia also, we have states in Australia, states and union territories, like there also similar, like we have states and union territory in India, and similar is the case with Australia also. Head of the government, there also prime minister, we have prime minister, and the legislative setup, both have two houses of parliament. We have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, there also they have two houses of parliament. Other similarities, what features we have borrowed from Australia? So we have borrowed three features. Concurrent list we have borrowed. We have borrowed the this joint sitting of two houses of parliament, and freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse throughout the territory of India. So these three features we have borrowed from Australia, and these three are the similarities actually. uh, Concurrent list, yes, both states, both countries. Joint sitting, yes, both countries. Freedom of trade, yes, both the countries. And first reading, second reading of a bill in parliament, you already know we have three readings in of a means of the passage of a bill. The bill goes through three readings: first reading, second reading and third reading. First reading when the bill is introduced, second reading when the bill is you know first reading, the bill is introduced in the parliament, and the general clauses of just bill are discussed. In the second reading, the specific clauses are discussed and referred to the parliamentary committee, and report of the parliamentary committee clause by clause is discussed. In the third reading, no, the clause by clause reading is there, but the entire bill has been voted upon with the amendments, by the parliament members thereupon. At that point of time, whatever amendment they are introducing in the bill, those amendments will be taken care or not to be means accepted or rejected. Those things, plus the bill has to be voted upon in the third reading and declared as passed or failed in the passage. So the first reading and second reading similarly exist in Australia also, as it is existing in India. Other independent judiciary, there also judiciary is independent. We have Supreme Court as the last court of justice. Similar is the case with Australia, where the Supreme Court of Australia is the last court of justice, where any petitioner can seek justice, and that is the last step where the justice can be sought, or is the topmost court in the Australia, in the country of Australian country. Appointment or removal of judges, similar. We have the process of appointment and removal is similar in both the countries, Australia and India, and separation of powers and judicial review, same here and in Australia. So these are similarities. As you can see, Australian constitution is very much similar to Indian constitution, because many of the features are similar to India and Australia, but there are some of the features which are different. We'll study those differences now. So dual citizenship in Australia, you can hold Australian citizenship plus other country citizenship if that country allows a dual citizenship. But in India, if a country is a citizen holding Indian citizenship, it cannot hold other country citizenship if otherwise the Indian citizenship will stand cancelled. Head of government, similar, we have the elected head as president, which is called a republic. And in Australia, uh, similar the case with Canada, because you already know that in Canada, the head of the state is the head of the Commonwealth of Nations, who is the British monarch or the King of Britain. So representative of that king will be appointed as Governor General in that country, and that Governor General will represent, will be a representative of the monarch or the British king. So there is no elected head of the state in Australia and in Canada. It is actually the head of the state is the British monarch, who is the head of the Commonwealth. Amendment of the Constitution in India, you already know that simple majority or special majority amendments are there. While in Australia there is no simple majority amendment, it is special majority, and special majority is that it should be amended by the both of the houses of parliament, plus it should be it should be approved by the so there is a referendum which has to be done, and it should be approved through that referendum. Means majority of the electorate will actually approve that bill or approve that amendment bill which is amending the constitution. So amendment is very difficult in Australia. So you know uh, as you know that France has fifth constitution presently, which is running currently into force. So many amendments have been taken place, but in Australia there are not many amendments which have taken place in Australian constitution. So Australian constitution amendment is very rigid because it has to go through a process of referendum by the electorate or by the people of Australia, citizens of Australia, who compose the general electorate. What are the other differences? Emergency legislation. In India, there is no emergency legislation by the states, it is by the union. President rule or national emergency put up by the President of India, while in Australia, every state has their own emergency legislation, which is not present in India. In upper, we have the upper house, which is Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha, members are elected through proportional representation with single transferable vote. We have already discussed in one of my lecture. You can kindly go to my Indian polity lectures, and you can find the proportional representation differences with single transferable vote or with list system. While in Australia, the members of the Rajya Sabha or their upper house is elected by PR, proportional representation, with list system. So there is no single transferable vote but with list system. I will already explain what is the list system. So list system is basically is the so there is a list which will be prepared in which all the candidates have been written down into, and the general electorate vote to that particular party which actually is represented through a list of members. So according to the seats which that party secures, so that much representation has been secured in the parliament. That is called the PR with list system, in which the entire list of members which is mentioned in the list or in the paper, so that party will actually get the vote, not a particular member in the list system. But if it is a so there are two categories in list system: open category and closed category. Open category, in which you have to mark the members preference also, but in closed it is not the members, you don't mark the members preference. It is the party who actually nominate their members as per their 1 2 3, or as per their understanding or as per their preference. But in open system, it is the electorate, or it is the general public who actually elects the particular members of that list also. So it marks the preference in the list, and those members will be elected as per the votes secured by that party. So those many seats will be secured by the vote by the electors as per the votes received by that party, or that party is represented by a list. So each party is represented by a list. Okay. Term of members, we have 6 years. Of lower house we have 5 years, and in Australia it is 3 years. These are the differences and similarities in Indian Australian constitution. In the next lecture we will study the rest of the constitutions in a in means all the constitution will study simultaneously in a unified lecture. So I'll not prepare a separate lecture. I'll prepare a common lecture in which all the countries constitutions comparison with Indian is mentioned, because मोटे मोटे तौर पे ऑल कंट्रीज वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस. सो अभी छोटी मोटी कंट्रीज बची हैं, तो आई विल डिस्कस दो इन वन लेक्चर. ओके, सो आई काइंडली वेट फॉर माई न्यू लेक्चर एंड kindly don't forget to press the subscribe button, and if you like my lecture, kindly press the like button which you find below the video. Okay, thank you.